Welcome to the Parsha Perspective. Each week, we will delve deep in a weekly Torah portion to find a practical and insightful way to enhance your daily life. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Rabbi Shalom Yamini, and each week we will look into the weekly Torah portion to find practical and insightful ways to enhance your daily life. This week's Parsha Perspective is in honor of our homeland, Eretz Yisroel. May Kadosh Baruch Hu, may God continue to protect the brave soldiers and continue to ensure the release of the hostages from Gaza immediately. This week's Parsha Perspective is in loving memory of Edward ben Efraim, Shlomo ben Edward, and Yirachmiel Daniel ben Gedalia. May their souls be uplifted and may their memories be a blessing. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Tetzaveh, from darkness there is light. Our Parsha continues the discussion of the building of the Mishkan, and it shifts its focus from construction to those that serve within it. God commands that only the purest of olive oil may be used for the daily kindling of the menorah. Moshe is then instructed to anoint Aaron, his brother, and his sons as Kohanim, as priests, consecrating them for their service and their sacred role within the Mishkan. During their service, the Kohanim must wear 4 special priestly garments: Mechnasayim, underpants; Ketonis, a large tunic; Avneit, a belt; and Metznefes, a turban. The Kohen Gadol, the high priest, would wear 4 extra garments on top of those during his service. The Me'il, a blue sleeveless robe with the lower hem fringed with small pomegranates and small golden bells. The ephod, a vest with a gemstone on each shoulder, which has the name of each tribe engraved upon it. The choshen, a breastplate with 12 gems. Each of the gems had one of the names of the 12 tribes. And the tzitz, the golden plate with inscribed the holy name of God attached to his turban. Following the garments, the Torah details the 7-day inauguration process for the Mishkan and for the Kohanim, for the priests. Aaron and his sons would immerse themselves in a mikvah and are dressed in their garments, while Moshe Rabbeinu offers inaugural sacrifices, karbanos, to sanctify them for their service. The Parsha concludes with the command to build the Mizbeach Hazav, the golden altar, where the Keteris, the incense offering, was burned twice daily. And this symbolizes the intimate bond between the Jewish people and our Creator, our Father in heaven. However, a question comes to mind. The Parsha begins with God commanding Moshe Rabbeinu, V'ata tetzaveh b'nei Yisrael, you shall command the Jewish nation. Now, normally the Torah introduces Moshe's instructions with the phrase, with the pasuk, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe lemar, and God spoke to Moshe saying. Yet here the usual preface is absent. The command begins immediately with Moshe himself. Why does the Torah skip the standard introduction and instead open directly with commanding Moshe regarding the olive oil for the menorah? The Ibn Ezra, Rav Avram ben Meir Ibn Ezra, gives a simple explanation. And he writes that while Tetzaveh begins a new Torah portion, it is not introducing a new idea. The Torah just finished detailing the construction of the Mishkan, its structure, the vessels, the design, and now it shifts its focus to those who serve within it, the Kohanim. And rather than repeating the usual introduction, the Torah continues seamlessly from last week's discussion into this week's Parsha. First, it addressed the Mishkan's external elements and how it was built, and now it turns inward, instructing those who serve within it and how they should carry out the work. And before describing the service, the Torah first establishes how were they to see while performing the duties. And this is why our Parsha begins with a command regarding the menorah's pure olive oil so they can have illumination. And although it appears abrupt, it is not a new topic. It is a natural continuation, shifting from the physical structure of the Mishkan to the spiritual function, to the service of the Kohanim, to the service of the priests in the tabernacle in the Mishkan. However, the Orach HaMakadesh, Rav Chaim ben Attar, a Moroccan commentary and Kabbalist, gives a deeper and more profound explanation. And he writes that after the intricacy of the design in last week's Torah portion, many might feel disconnected from the Mishkan's construction, seeing it as complex and distant. The detailed craftsmanship, the vessels, the tapestry, the beams were beyond the skills of most. And aside from bringing the offerings, how could the average Jew personally connect to the Mishkan and its construction? To address this, God commands Moshe Rabbeinu to speak to the entire Jewish nation, emphasizing that the Mishkan's illumination depends on them. Though there are some who are designated as Kohanim, as priests, the light that burns within the Mishkan is meant to reach every single Jew and uplift them. The pure olive oil for the menorah is a symbol of this, representing the role that each Jewish person has in fueling the divine presence here on earth. As the Torah describes the special garments of the Kohanim, Moshe is instructed to ensure that no Jew feels disconnected. While the Kohen Gadol and the Kohanim serve on behalf of the people, seeking forgiveness, offering praises, and performing the holy duties, the holy responsibilities, the holy service, the Mishkan is not meant to be an exclusive domain. It exists to bring the entire nation closer to God. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Lushnerius, of blessed memory, gives even more to this explanation. He explains that Moshe's role was not only to instruct the people about the olive oil, but to be a conduit that brings them closer to God. Moshe does not simply relay the commandments, relay the mitzvahs. He is the force that uplifts the Jewish people, guiding them towards greater faith and connection. Interestingly, despite Moshe being the one addressed throughout the Parsha and in the beginning of the Torah portion, his name is not mentioned. The Rebbe teaches us that this reveals something deeper. Moshe's leadership transcended his own identity. His role was not about his personal greatness, but elevating his generation, and even as he experienced direct communication face-to-face with God, spending 40 days on top of a mountain 3 separate times, his mission was to bring the Jewish people closer, lifting them to new spiritual heights. This is the role of every Moshe Rabbeinu, every great leader in each generation. Some may feel distant from their holiness, disconnected from their Judaism, or uncertain of their place in the divine service for our God, for our Father in heaven. And the leader of each generation is there to strengthen, he's there to uplift, and he's there to guide, helping each and every Jew to find their connection in service of Avinu Bashamayim, our Father in heaven. And through the physical struggles and spiritual tests, the Moshe Rabbeinu of each generation leads with boundless energy, unwavering holiness and spirit as he drives the Jewish people forward towards the ultimate redemption. This profound lesson from the Lubavitcher Rebbe and the Aruch HaKodesh is especially relevant as we approach the holiday of Purim. After the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash, the first temple, some Jews attended a feast of King Achashverosh, angering God and allowing him to enable Haman to plot their annihilation. But Mordechai HaTzadik refused to surrender. He refused to despair. He gathered 22,000 children and studied Torah openly in the streets, igniting a spiritual revival that pierced through the judgment and awakened God's mercy. His leadership turned sorrow into salvation and exile into redemption. A true Jewish leader does not stand by, apart, and above. He stands with his people, strengthening and uplifting them throughout every circumstance. Like Moshe Rabbeinu, Mordechai HaTzadik, the leader of his generation, led his generation from darkness to light, revealing that even in the bleakest of moments, redemption is within reach. In our daily life, it is imperative to recognize that true leadership is not about authority. It is about inspiring, about uplifting those around us. Whether in family, work, or community, a leader's greatest role is not to stand above others, but to empower them to reach new heights. Each of us has the ability to be a source of strength for those facing uncertainty. And offering guidance, support, encouragement, we become the conduit for positive change, helping those around us see their own massive and great potential. Just as a single flame can ignite countless of others without diminishing its own light, our willingness to uplift those around us creates a ripple effect of confidence, resilience, and success. There's a profound quote that I once read. A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle, yet the world becomes twice as bright. Have a great weekend and a happy Chodesh Adar. Thank you for tuning in to the Parsha Perspective. Check out our website, theparshaperspective.com. Send thoughts and comments to theparshaperspective@gmail.com. Till next time, thanks for listening.